The Warriors' pursuit of Giannis Antetokounmpo after a week is over.
All right, let's be real. This is an abject failure by the Golden State Warriors. They put all of their eggs in the Giannis Antetokounmpo basket.
It's a disaster. Let's be honest, it's a disaster.
What we've been discussing over the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about pairing Steph with Giannis. Now all of a sudden it's just Kristaps Porzingis. That don't move the needle for me, and it damn sure don't move the needle for the Warriors and Steph Curry.
You have a Jonathan Kuminga who you've been telling us is the future of your organization, who has not been able to get on the floor hardly at all this season. You move him to Atlanta for Kristaps Porzingis, which, no disrespect to him, he's got health issues. I'm in Atlanta. I was forgetting that this dude was played for the Hawks. The guy just is not healthy.
Great trade.
That is a great trade.
Let's go. Trade.
Let's go to the Hawks.
I like to pick people teams because we know you know the vibe.
We got rid of Porzingis
let him
and we
get
got.
his shit off.
Guess what? We got dark skin on our team. He came to play.
Yeah, full-blooded.
Boosie said it best. If you don't want him, we'll take him. Shout out to the Hawks getting Kuminga. We got another 6'8" wing that we can use. Versatile.
Yeah,
I like the trade. I hated Porzingis on our team, so I'm so glad that we got rid of him.
Jonathan Kuminga is no longer a Warrior. In a stunning move just hours before the February 5th trade deadline, the Golden State Warriors and Atlanta Hawks pulled off a 3-player swap that sent shockwaves. If you thought the AD trade would have been bad in the sense of the Warriors getting an injured player, let me introduce you to last night's trade. The Warriors traded forward Jonathan Kuminga and guard Buddy Hield to the Hawks in exchange for center Kristaps Porzingis. This deal, devoid of draft picks or additional assets, marks the end of a tumultuous era for Kuminga in Golden State and signals both teams' divergent strategies. The Warriors chasing immediate contention around Steph Curry, and the Hawks investing in youth and athleticism. Since no assets were involved in the trade, the Warriors are probably interested in saving a ton of money on taxes this year. If I were them, however, I'd make sure to file with Sonia Bolden Tax Services. As a matter of fact, if I was watching this video and I wanted to maximize my returns, I would file with Sonia Bolden Tax Services. If you're like my wife and can't do anything without calling someone on the phone, call her. Not my wife. Call Sonia Bolden at 407-901-2354. If you're like me and can't bother with any unnecessary personal interaction, send an email to contact@soniabolden.com. This wasn't a paid promotion, so there are no gimmicks. Just someone I trust. So stop wasting time with these dishonest tax prep companies. A lot of companies waste your time giving you basic tax preparation, leaving a ton of money on the table. This could literally be you after Sonia Bolden does your taxes. What are you waiting for? Listen, don't deal with the taxes yourself and worry about getting audited. Have it done by a professional. I promise you'll get a much better deal, including more back-end taxes than the Warriors did getting Porzingis in a trade for a future young superstar, especially since Pot's been in the Bay. All these P's for the Dubs and not one a playoff riser. Speaking of Porzingis, the trade comes at a juncture where the Hawks, who are hovering below 500 at 25-27, make a pivot toward rebuilding with upside, while shedding a veteran whose health has been a persistent concern, and the Warriors, where there's a buildup of frustration with the team currently sitting at an average 27-24 record. Plagued by frontcourt injuries and inconsistent play, and have struck out on the Giannis deadline sweepstakes, make a final play to help Steph Curry and Draymond Green win their 5th championship. So let's break down this trade. Check ball. After spending 4 weeks in the storm-ravaged island of Jamaica post-Melissa, I've been able to document and will be sharing with you how storm survivors are coping in the aftermath, and will also be including how your donations were put to use to help others struggling at the moment. I'll be curating a 30 to 45 minute documentary about what I experienced, as well as the experiences of 3 families or individuals before, during, and after the hurricane. I will also be providing a method to help these 3 in their recovery if you resonate with their stories. The current GoFundMe is still up, and you can click the link in the description to continue helping, as we haven't yet raised enough to fully cover the costs of rebuilding. A lot of the costs came from my own pockets, but just to be sure, I appreciate every single donation you guys have made so far. Without them, there would still be no roof on my aunt's house. Thank you again, and keep an eye out for the documentary, which should be posted within the next week or so. The path to this deal was anything but straightforward. With the Warriors' aggressive pursuit of a superstar upgrade, for weeks leading up to the deadline, Golden State had been locked in negotiations with the Milwaukee Bucks for two-time MVP Giannis Antetokounmpo. Sources indicate the Warriors offered a massive package including Kuminga, Brandon Porzingis, Draymond Green, and up to 5 future first-round picks. No, they did not include Jimmy Butler in the deal. The Bucks were intrigued by the haul of young talent in draft capital. They seriously considered the deal but ultimately balked, opting to hold on to Antetokounmpo at least through the deadline. They think they can get something better in the offseason. This fall-through left the Warriors in a precarious position. With Curry turning 38 in March and the team desperate to maximize his remaining prime, General Manager Mike Dunleavy Jr. needed to address glaring frontcourt deficiencies. Golden State has been hammered by injuries to key bigs like Trace Jackson-Davis, who was traded separately to Toronto for a 2026 second-round pick, by the way, and others, leaving their rotation thin and vulnerable. Enter the Hawks, who had acquired Porzingis from the Boston Celtics in a 3-team offseason deal, but were open to moving him amid his injury issues and Atlanta's below-average performance.
KP, hot early, drills another 3.
Negotiations heated up in the final 48 hours before the deadline. The Warriors, having failed to land Antetokounmpo, pivoted quickly to Porzingis as a win-now addition. At 7'3", Porzingis is the perfect stretch big who could space the floor and protect the rim next to Draymond Green, alongside Al Horford and Quentin Post. So who's really running things in Golden State? Atlanta, meanwhile, saw value in Kuminga's athleticism and Hield's sharp shooting to complement their young core. The two were a formidable second unit for the Warriors and showed that they actually play very well together. No draft compensation was involved, making it a pure player-for-player swap that balanced salaries. Porzingis at $30.7 million, Kuminga at $22.5 million with a team option for 2026 to 27, and Hield at $10 million. The deal was finalized late Wednesday night, capping a saga that began almost 5 years ago, ever since the Warriors drafted Kuminga and reached a fever pitch with Kuminga's trade demand on January 15th, the first day he became eligible to be traded after signing a 2-year $46.8 million extension in September 2025. The Warriors went from practically saying their goodbyes to Draymond Green in their Giannis pursuit.
What a run it's been. I'll take the fine for it. What a run it's been. So that's just how I feel.
To latching onto the elder veteran even tighter with a player that gives Dre more staying power than Thanos. Now Green stays put, but the team is left wondering if this Porzingis gamble was born out of desperation rather than strategy. A strikeout in a deal for a 2-time league MVP and Defensive Player of the Year left them with yet another oft-injured veteran who will have serious trouble staying on the floor. For Jonathan Kuminga, this trade represents freedom from a 5-year roller coaster in Golden State. Drafted 7th overall in 2021, the 23-year-old forward flashed superstar potential with his explosive athleticism, averaging 16 points and 5 rebounds last season, but inconsistencies in his role under coach Steve Kerr, culminating in 16 straight DNPs, led to frustration and his eventual demand to be moved. In Atlanta, Kuminga steps into a situation that needs him and his projected growth as much as he needs the freedom to develop. The Hawks, following the Trae Young trade to Washington, are building around young players such as the 2024 number 1 pick, Zachary Rizashea, and All-Star Jalen Johnson. Kuminga and Johnson could form a dynamic wing duo. Both are elite athletes with improving perimeter skills. Johnson, averaging 23 points and 10.5 rebounds this season, thrives as a playmaking forward, while Kuminga's slashing in transition adds another layer of explosiveness.
JK snake dribble. Oh man!
Imagine a lineup with Rizashea at the 2, Kuminga at the 3, Johnson at the 4, and Onyeka Okongwu anchoring the center spot. Athletic, versatile, and defensively switchable. This turns the Hawks into what we've seen some of the better teams evolve into as of late. Teams such as the OKC Thunder, Houston Rockets from last year, Trailblazers, Pistons, etc., filling out with young athletic players with length that can pace and space while still applying rim pressure. Rotation-wise, Kuminga should slot in as a starter or high-usage bench piece, far from the sporadic minutes he endured in Golden State. His contract, which is team-friendly with a $22.5 million option for next year, gives Atlanta flexibility to evaluate him long-term. If Kuminga unlocks his potential, we're talking about 20 plus points per game with better shooting, he could become the Hawks' cornerstone. It remains to be seen if his three-point shooting, a career 34%, can improve to the numbers we've seen in the preseason with more confidence. Adapting to Quinn Snyder's system will test his basketball IQ. Overall, however, this is a high upside bet for Atlanta, turning a disgruntled talent into a building block. For the Warriors, parting with Kuminga is a tough concession. The young forward's departure strips away raw potential from a roster already aging around Curry, Butler, and Green. Kuminga was seen as the bridge to the future from the dynasty, but the claimed lack of fit in Curry's motion offense made him expendable in a win-now push. They viewed him as a ball stopper who didn't immediately make passes to Curry for looks, which rubbed Steve the wrong way. Losing Hield, a summer signing brought in for shooting depth almost 2 full seasons ago, thins out their guard rotation, though his recent underwhelming production makes it easier to swallow for Steve, who prefers 9 or 10 guards. In return, Porzingis brings proven floor spacing and rim protection. At best, the Latvian unicorn is a 20-point scorer with elite shooting and blocking instincts. He started hot in Atlanta, averaging 19 points in his first 13 games, but injuries limited him to just 17 appearances this season after almost 50 games. For Golden State, Porzingis addresses frontcourt depth amid injuries, potentially forming a pick-and-pop tandem with Curry that echoes the Curry-Durant era spacing. But here's the problem. Porzingis has never been able to stay healthy. His history is a red flag the size of China, missing 12 straight games with left Achilles tendonitis, battling postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, aka POTS, that drained him like peak cell during the 2025 playoffs, and dealing with recurring mysterious illnesses. Porzingis was actually diagnosed with POTS after the 2025 finals. Supposedly, it causes rapid heart spikes upon standing, leading to fatigue. Not exactly a good thing, but it certainly helps Rick Celebrini's job security alongside Steve's and Draymond's. It's apparently been treated by putting Porzingis on a high salt diet, so he does have a pretty good reason to want to be in the Bay. Otherwise, a triple heaping of ackee and saltfish, without soaking the saltfish, might be needed gameside if any Jamaican fans in the Bay need to keep their future superstar intact. Potts is not career-ending, and I wish him the best of health, but combined with his Achilles issues, this raises a lot of doubts about his durability for a playoff run. If Porzingis plays 25 of the remaining 31 games, he could propel the Warriors into playoff contention. But considering he hasn't played more than 50 games over the course of an entire season since 2023 to 24, the Warriors would be lucky to get him to play 25 in the regular season and still help in a playoff push. If not, this looks like a desperate overpay for a half-season rental. The desperation is evident. After the Giannis fallout, they needed a splash to salvage the season. But trading Kuminga's upside for Porzingis' fragility feels like a short-term fix. But what if it does work? Porzingis slides seamlessly into Golden State's small ball ethos as a stretch 5. Envision a starting lineup. Imagine a starting lineup with Curry, Melton, Butler, Green, and Porzingis. At 7'3", he provides length the Warriors lack, deterring drives while popping for threes, perfect for Curry's off-ball magic. Offensively, Porzingis' 17 points and 5 rebounds per game this season adds scoring punch, especially in pick and rolls, something we might not see too much of. Defensively, his 1.3 blocks per game give you rim protection, though his mobility post-injury is a concern against quicker bigs. Kirk could stagger him with Green for switchable lineups, but health management, perhaps load managing back-to-backs, will be a key aspect of his durability with the team. If healthy, Porzingis elevates Golden State to a top 10 offense. If not, they're back to square one and relying on increasingly older players year over year to help with a championship. By trading away their youth, they've already set their future back at least a couple of years. So unless they win a championship this season, it will be all for naught. Atlanta wins by injecting youth and shooting into a roster in transition. Post-Young, the Hawks are retooling around Johnson and Rizachet. Kuminga fits as an athletic complement to Johnson, creating a high-flying front-court duo that pressures rims and switches defenses. Hield, a career 40% three-point shooter, addresses spacing issues, likely providing bench microwave scoring. Rotationally, Snyder can deploy Kuminga alongside Johnson for 30-plus minutes of athleticism, with Okongwu handling center duties. This trade accelerates Atlanta's rebuild, trading Porzingis' injury-prone production for a long-term upside. If Kuminga thrives, the Hawks could contend sooner than expected. On paper, this is no slam dunk for either side, but the Hawks emerge as winners. They shed Porzingis' $31 million expiring deal and health risks for Kuminga's potential, a 23-year-old with all-star flashes without committing long-term. and Heald's shooting, assets that align with their timeline. Golden State gets immediate help but gambles on Porzingis' durability. If he breaks down, they've lost a young star for nothing, but at this point he's not even healthy. The Warriors get a B- for a desperate but functional trade. The Hawks get an A- for a smart future bet. In a league where youth wins championships, Atlanta absolutely stole this trade. This trade reshapes both franchises, but only time and Porzingis' health will tell if it was worth it. Let me know if the Porzingis trade gave you confidence in the team going forward. What about this Golden State Celtics frontcourt? Can this team of old and injured players really win a championship? Post your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching. Till next time, swish.